A teenage palace concubine is retired to a Buddhist temple when the emperor dies. It is a one-way exile meant to end her life in silence. In a society built to keep women powerless, she doesn't just come back, she comes back to the throne. By the end, the court that tried to discard her is terrified of her name because she turns survival into revenge and revenge into an empire. Wu Zetian was born in 624, the daughter of Wu Shiyue, a timber official, and Lady Yang. Her family's modest status offered little protection when at age 14, she entered the Tang Palace as a low-ranking Kairen, one of dozens of teenage girls chosen to serve Emperor Taizong. In the palace, rank was everything. Without a son, a concubine's future was written in the Tang legal code. When the emperor died, the childless were sent to a Buddhist convent, their heads shaved, their names erased from court registers. This was not exile as a temporary setback. It was meant to be a permanent silencing. In 649, as Taizong's body cooled, Wu was ordered to Ganye Temple. The law was clear. Imperial women without heirs must take vows to live out their days in chastity. Temple registers from the period list her among the imperial women receiving vows, and stele inscriptions from Ganye praise the abbots for their temporary protection of palace exiles. Yet even in ritual banishment, the machinery of the state followed her. Silk and provisions arrived monthly from the Ministry of Rites. The abbots maintained channels to the capital. Wu's status as a former consort was not erased, just suspended, held in bureaucratic limbo. The court's intention was humiliation. Song-era histories later painted this as a punishment designed to crush ambition. But the evidence from temple records and Dunhuang manuscripts shows something more complex, a system that exiled, but also preserved the possibility of return. For Wu, the forced vows and silent corridors of Ganye Temple were not just a sentence, they were a wound and a lesson. The system that tried to erase her would one day answer to her. The memory of that erasure would become the engine of her revenge. Summoned back from Ganye Temple, Wu Zetian stepped into a palace already divided by suspicion. Empress Wang, desperate to weaken the grip of consort Xiao, convinced Emperor Gaozong to recall Wu, hoping to use her as a pawn. But Wu moved swiftly, gaining the emperor's trust and bearing him a son. The alliance between Wang and Xiao crumbled as Wu's influence grew. In the summer of 655, a storm of accusations swept the court. The most notorious was the claim that Empress Wang had murdered Wu's infant daughter out of jealousy. Contemporary Tang records note the accusation, but the lurid details, an infant found in a wine jar and mutilation, only appear centuries later in hostile Song-era histories. Modern scholars flag the story as disputed, likely a piece of daitiratune. Later propaganda designed to blacken Wu's name. What is certain is that on November 16, 655, Emperor Gaozong issued edicts stripping both Wang and Xiao of their titles. 6 days later, Wu was crowned Empress. The former Empress and consort were ordered to die. No court record describes a trial or confession. Their removal was absolute, and the path to power lay open. Wu's revenge was not just personal. The edicts that ended Wang and Xiao's lives also signaled a new order, one where palace intrigue could be fatal, and where the rules could be rewritten. The palace had tried to erase Wu once, and now she had turned the machinery of court against those who had sought her exile. The removal of her rivals was only the beginning. With her elevation to Empress, the struggle shifted from personal vendetta to political warfare. The same system that had tried to silence her would soon be used to purge the Old Guard, as Wu began to build her own network of power inside the heart of the Tang Dynasty. The executions of Empress Wang and consort Xiao sent shockwaves through the palace, but the next phase of Wu Zetian's revenge ran deeper than personal rivalry. She turned her attention to the men who had once defined Tang power, the hereditary officials and noble clans who believed their bloodlines guaranteed influence. The first to fall was Chu Suiliang, a respected chancellor and master calligrapher. He had publicly opposed Wu's elevation, warning the emperor that the court must not be ruled by women. In 656, an imperial edict accused Chu of incorrigible counsel and treason. He was stripped of his titles and exiled to the farthest reaches of Ai Prefecture. He died alone, his legacy erased from the capital's memory. Zhangsun Wuji, uncle to Emperor Gaozong and chief architect of the Tang legal code, faced similar charges. In 659, a formal decree accused him of plotting against the throne, treason, the most serious crime in the Tang Code. The edict's language was absolute. Conspiracy against the emperor cannot be tolerated. Zhang Sun was exiled, then ordered to take his own life. No trial, no defense. The message was unmistakable. Birthright offered no protection. Other senior ministers, Han Yuan, Lai Ji, Yu Jining, were swept up in the purge. Some were demoted, others sent into exile. Lai Ji died in distant obscurity. Edicts cited disloyalty and false accusation, but the real crime was opposition to Wu's authority. The Old Guard, once the backbone of Tang governance, was dismantled piece by piece. Each removal created a vacuum, quickly filled by loyalists whose survival depended on absolute obedience. The rules had changed. To resist was to vanish. The palace, once governed by tradition and clan alliances, now echoed with the knowledge that anyone could be next. Inside the palace, terror became the architecture of rule. By the late 680s, Wu Zetian's government had constructed a system where suspicion was currency and accusation the sharpest weapon. The Jiancha Yuan, her new court of inquisition, replaced the Old Guard with a network of secret police. Zhou Xing, a former magistrate, and Lai Junchen, a petty criminal turned master interrogator, became infamous as her enforcers. Their methods were as inventive as they were brutal. Confessions were extracted by threat, by torture, and by the simple knowledge that no one was safe. Lai Junchen compiled the Classic of Accusation, a 12-volume manual on how to fabricate charges, script interrogations, and break the will of even the most stubborn official. The records show that thousands were implicated, and whole branches of the Imperial Li clan vanished, their names erased by a single accusation. The story of Zhou Xing's downfall became a warning to all. After boasting of his heated urn technique, forcing victims into a burning jar, he was himself tricked into stepping inside. The idiom "invite the gentleman into the urn" survives as a symbol of a system that devoured its own architects. Whether charges were true or not, fear became policy. A single rumor, a careless word, could end a career or a life. The bureaucracy learned to survive by silence and obedience. But the terror had a purpose. Prosperity followed the purges. Land was redistributed. The examination system expanded. Taxes eased for the poor. Some historians argue that these reforms weakened the old aristocracy and opened government to new talent, fueling a kind of economic revenge against those who had tried to erase her. For the common people, the empire ran better, and for the elite, it was a nightmare. They tried to make her disappear twice, first into a temple, then into a scandal story. But China still remembers the truth. She took the throne. On October 16th, 690, the old order was forced to kneel. Wu Zetian stood in the audience hall at Luoyang and issued a proclamation that shattered every law meant to keep her from power. The Tang Dynasty, once the empire of her enemies, no longer existed. In its place, she declared the Zhou dynasty restored, and herself emperor, Wang, not empress, not regent, but sovereign in her own right. The court's ritualists unfurled new plaques and banners. Zhou, heaven granted, sacred and divine emperor. Every official, from the highest chancellor to the lowest scribe, was ordered to bow before a throne now occupied by a woman. Her new regnal name, Zetian Dasheng Huangdi, the great sage emperor who obeys heaven, appeared on edicts stamped with a fresh imperial seal. The seal's inscription, carved in archaic script, announced the treasure of the emperor. Coins were cast with the Zhou name and new characters she herself had invented. Each coin, each document, each order carried the message that the system which once erased her now existed to serve her will. The proclamation invoked the mandate of heaven, but also the Great Cloud Sutra, a Buddhist text that court monks, under her patronage, now cited as prophecy fulfilled. Edicts declared that heaven itself had granted her authority, that she was the ruler foretold to bring peace. The bureaucracy that once signed her exile now spread her name across the empire. The same machinery that tried to silence her was forced to proclaim her legitimacy in coin, in seal, in scripture. The act was more than a coronation. It was a reversal, an erasure undone. The convent, the purges, the terror, all of it led to this moment. The woman meant to vanish into obscurity had made her disappearance impossible. She had turned the empire's attempt to erase her into the foundation of her own rule. Today, Wu Zetian's reign still sparks debate. Was she a monster or mastermind, a tyrant or a reformer? Behind the propaganda and disputed tales, one fact stands: prosperity and fear reshaped the empire. They tried to erase her, but history did not comply. China still remembers the truth. She took the throne.